So on Reads with Rachel's channel, you know how she talks about how writing advice helps her as a reviewer, like better review a book? I'm finding, like, obviously authors shouldn't be like, reviews are for readers. I'm a writer and a reader, and listening to reviews, negative reviews of books in the genres I hope to one day be published in, I think has been really helpful for me in getting some kind of indirect writing advice, right? Because I'm seeing that. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like some of the issues that I see being pointed out constantly are there's a lack of continuity here. There's a lack of consistent internal logic. There's a lack of true character development. There's too much telling and not showing, and they'll give very concrete examples of that show me, oh, I thought this one scene I thought I was showing, but I'm just telling actually. Because when you're in your main character's perspective, especially I'm changing my book to first person, you are seeing things as them and you are kind of talking to the reader, and there's a strong temptation to just tell the reader everything because you're talking to them, right? And when you talk to your friends, you don't show, you tell. But when we're writing a book, we're not talking to our friends. We are talking to our friends, but we're not talking to our friends in that way, right? We have the ability to illustrate what we mean, and we should do that. And it's so easy to fall into that trap. I think it's easier than I thought it was. I thought, oh, well, yeah, I just won't fall I just won't fall into that trap. But actually, it's very easy to fall into, especially when you're writing it from first person. But even when you're writing in third person. So those are the two big things that I've like seen in reviews that have made me, because I'm thinking through as I'm listening to them say what is not okay about this. I'm like thinking through my story, and I'm like, okay, are there questions I haven't answered that rightfully should be answered by the end of the book? Are there plot points brought up that aren't relevant to this book, and maybe I should leave those until book two? Are there is the pacing like just there are just so many little details that I think it's so helpful to hear from a reader's perspective, not on your book specifically, but just in general, because even as a reader, everyone has such different opinions, and sometimes as a reader, even as a reader, you can go in and just be like, I love the vibes and I don't care about anything else. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're there for a good time, not a long time. You know what I mean? But a reviewer whose job is to be critical, or someone who is just a generally more critical like thinker or person or whatever, like I'm kind of a vibes person, but someone who's more critical can really help me anchor my perspective. Because if you just go off vibes, most things are good. Like there are many a good vibe that may not have necessarily the best, I don't know, the best execution, the best like actual execution. And my goal as far as the craft of my book, like obviously every book is not for every person as far as what you personally like or are interested in. But my goal as a writer is to get to a point with craft that hopefully craft wise, because I feel that craft is a little bit less subjective, and I'm hoping to get to a point where craft wise there is not as much to complain about. If someone dislikes the book, that's totally fine, but I'm hoping to not have them dislike it because I didn't do a thorough job with craft, you know what I mean? And like listening to the rant reviews and things is really helping me, by like multiple creators, is helping me see craft from a more critical perspective than I personally have had as a reader. I'm just finding it really helpful and really insightful. I shouldn't be. I don't know how much of a recommendation that should be, because I again definitely don't believe an author should be, especially not engaging with, but probably not reading or watching their own reviews for sure. In my current opinion, I don't think there should be any harm in like a writer who's learning to write, listening to readers' perspectives to learn more about their craft. But if I am missing something on that, feel free to let me know.